their mouth, it'll just be me. Okay, so we're going to start by applying our serum to our face and neck. Today we're going to do the full massage, and then if you want to go and wash your hands, we will move on to the intraoral part. Are there any questions or anything that anyone has before we begin? Are there any particular areas that anyone wants to work on today? Jaw tension, puffiness, tension anywhere?
Hi, I get a lot of tension across my forehead and like eyebrows basically, so that's a real problem area for me.
Okay, cool. We'll definitely do some work into that.
Thanks.
Jaw tension and gels. We'll be doing lots of lifting. Some of the words that I've been hearing for like signs of aging is so mean. Like I heard someone calling these lines folds of despair. So we're going to be working on lifting and toning and keeping everything up. So whenever we do any facial massage practice, nothing about this should hurt or feel painful. Throughout, you need to make sure that you have enough oil to be able to move quite freely. If at any point you feel like you're getting stuck or you're pulling the skin, just put a couple of drops more oil on and apply it to the skin. If you're working with any inflammatory skin any inflammatory skin disorders or breakouts, cuts, abrasions, anything like that, just work around them. Nothing about this should hurt or be painful. If you have particular areas of sensitivity, avoid them, work around them. Nothing about this should be pro-inflammatory. No one afterwards should be saying that their skin really hurts or anything like that. Work intuitively, work to your skin. I'm going to be guiding through the full routine. If you think a bit isn't suitable for you, don't worry about it. Just stay where you are or move on to the next bit. So for those just joining, if you grab your oil and apply to the full neck and face. So we're going to be starting with the neck. We're just going to be taking it over and doing a couple of neck stretches. So whenever you're doing any facial massage practice, always start and finish with the neck. The neck is the main motorway in and out of our face. So the technique that we're going to be using today, and over to the other side, is quite invigorating. It's all about sculpting, toning, lifting. Normally I do the more relaxing workshop on this at the start of the month and then leave this one for when everyone needs a boost towards the end. If you just pop your hands under collarbones, apply a little bit of downwards pressure. We're just going to do a stretch up the front of the neck, tilting the head back. Okay. Wonderful. So we're just going to start by taking our two fingers and popping them behind the ears and doing some gentle circles. So today we're going to be working a lot with the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is one of our body's main detoxification systems. It's part of the immune system. If you ever experienced any puffiness or sluggishness, dullness, this is really a lovely way to help brighten up skin and make sure that everything is staying nice and healthy. Today we're going to be doing deeper work into the facial muscles. Whenever you're using any deep pressure, make sure that you're going like slower if you want to make it a little bit harder. So just things to be mindful of. Wonderful. Next, we're going to come to run both fingers down these muscles. So I don't know if you can, how do I make it pop out? We're going to be working on this muscle that runs from just behind the ear down to the collarbone. And we're just going to be working down with both hands. You can either use fingertips, you can use your little knuckles if it feels good for you. Avoiding this little area as it's quite uncomfortable if you poke yourself in it. And these sternocleidomastoid muscles are not particularly delicate. If you do find a little knot and you want to press and hold, you can. If you want to work applying a little bit more pressure, you can. You don't need to use a particularly feathery pressure here. Wonderful. Next, turning our hands flat, we're just going to come to work up the neck. You may need to use the backs of your hands, you may need to use the fronts of your hands. You may find it easier to do it this way, you may find it easier to do it this way. It just depends on wrist flexibility. Working from one side of the neck, underneath the chin, over to the other side. Really good. Next time coming to the chin, we're just going to spend a little bit of time under here. Using either the fronts or the backs of your hands, whatever's more comfortable for you. It doesn't really matter. Nice. Still working a little bit under the chin, popping thumbs underneath the chin. You're just going to work out with thumbs. So all I'm doing is running my thumbs underneath the jaw. And again, you can use a firmer pressure here. For most people, this is not a particularly sensitive area. The skin isn't particularly thin. Really nice. Okay, great. Next time you come back to the center, you're going to leave your thumbs there. Take these two first fingers and just do some massage into the chin. If you are working with any breakouts, really common in this area, just try as best you can to work around them. This little muscle that sits on the chin is often very neglected, and it can actually carry quite a lot of tension. It can be prone to aging. You're all very young, but if you look at your mums, maybe you might notice some kind of lines that start to sit in there where the collagen fibers just harden. This can be broken up by massage. So it's a lovely area not to neglect. And still working underneath so I'm kind of bringing my thumbs forward, kind of like milking a cow, but on your chin, you know? Okay, wonderful. So before going on to the kind of sculptural face lifting, you may have seen it in some of our videos where we use this technique to lift and tone everything. We're just going to warm up the face a little bit with some brisk morning movements. They'll also give your arm a little workout. I'm just popping a little bit more oil on, as I completely underestimated how dry and crispy I am this morning. Okay, so using our palms, we're going to start from the jaws, and we're just from the jawbone, and we're just going to work up so the heel of our hands finishes underneath the cheekbone. And you can do this kind of from the center of the face next to the lips, working more out towards the ears. You're using a light pressure as you're using a faster kind of movement, waking up all of these muscles a little bit before we do some deeper work into them. Getting the microcirculation pumping to the face this morning. I had a very salty takeaway last night, so I'm in dire need of this. Nice, and you can do a little focus here, just next to the lips. Keep everything super loose, a little space between your top and bottom jaw, relaxing the face, and just working up. Pressure's light. Pressure's light, everything's relaxed. Wonderful. Next, we're going to use these fingers, the two middle fingers, to do a little bit, so light, the pressure is so light, a little bit of slapping, keeping your face as relaxed as possible. And again, you can work from lower down on the face to higher up on the face. Closer to the lips to closer to the ear. Over that big jawbone, jaw muscle, the masseter muscle. Wonderful. Remembering to breathe through all of this. And moving on to the second side. In terms of your arms, if they ever need a little stretch out, a shake out, feel free to give them one. Making sure that you work all the areas that you did on the other side. Okay, wonderful. Hopefully your face is feeling a little bit more awake now. So we're going to come to do some lifting moves. The way that you're going to do it is by first finger first and then the rest of your hand to follow. Try as much as possible to get as much surface area of the palm touching the skin so that you're not just working with fingertips. You really want to be working with the full surface area of your hand. And what you're thinking about is lifting rather than pushing into the face. So thinking about drawing everything up. So we're going to start by working on this part of the face across the cheek, that little jowl area. We'll also work a little bit over the jaw here. So starting here. So you want to use opposite hand to opposite side. Good. You guys keep going. I'm just going to scroll along and see how you're all doing. Nice. So try as much as possible to work with the full surface area of the hand. Maybe slow it down a little bit and really focus on lifting up. And you're traveling from just underneath the jawbone so that your fingertips are finishing underneath the cheekbone. Keeping your whole face super relaxed. You do want to be making some funny faces. You do want to be a little bit squished up because you're lifting everything up, keeping the muscles relaxed. And you can work again from closer to the mouth to closer to the ear and back. And we'll do this for a little bit. If at any point you need to shake out your hands, your shoulders, your wrists, go for it. If you do have any kind of areas of concern, so just a couple of common ones are this bit, losing a little bit of elasticity, you can focus more there, or these bits, that they're called the depressor muscles. They make us frown. You can work on any of those bits. Wonderful. How are you finding it? Let me just come and see how you're all doing. It is a little bit awkward with your hand. It's definitely easier when someone else does it to you. But it is a really good way of using the whole surface area of your hand and the upwards force to lift. Wonderful. And whenever you're ready, coming on to the second side. You may find one side easier than the other. So working from just underneath the jaws, just above the cheekbones, trying to keep your hand as flat to the skin surface as possible. If you're getting tired, just slow it down. Really good, everyone. Great. So good. So next we're just going to do a tiny bit more of this, just specifically around these bits of the mouth. So we're first going to work underneath so underneath the lips, and then coming up so that your finger's starting at the lips and you're working to raise that top lip. So the depressor and the levators. And working just above the lip. So taking it much slower and remembering to use the whole surface area of your hand, not just fingertips. And you really want to be thinking about lifting everything. Really nice, everyone. And moving on to the second side. So working just underneath the lips to start with, the depressors. That is actually the name of the muscles. That is not like a nickname. Using the full surface area of the hand. Really good, everyone. Nice, and then just moving up to the levators. So just above the lip. So you start with your first finger next to the lip and you're lifting this top lip up. Wonderful. Giving your hands a little shake, shoulders a little roll. That's the hardest part done, I promise. Okay, next, taking first fingers, we're still going to be using the same sculptural face lifting technique. First fingers start just above the lips. You're going to work out. So you're kind of pulling your lips apart, trying to work with the full surface area of your hand as always. Here we're working on the risorius muscles, the muscles that contract to make us smile. And just giving them a nice stretch out. Sometimes if we are quite stressed or spending a lot of time in front of screens, we scrunch up our faces a lot. So this is really nice for just opening out all of the everything, opening out the face and giving those facial muscles a little workout. Really trying to plant your palms down as much as possible. And it's okay to go over the lips. If you touch your lips, you'll notice it doesn't hurt. You don't have to avoid them. Really nice. And taking it out almost all the way to the ear. Wonderful. Coming out, finishing, next time you go out, finish by the jaw. If you want to find exactly where these muscles sit, just place your fingers here, clench your teeth together, and feel around. And you'll feel that they're quite big. They go from the cheekbone to the jaw, and they're about this wide. So we're just going to start by doing some big circles over them. Really make sure that you're keeping space between the top and bottom jaw when you're doing this. Experiment with pressure. Keep your tongue soft in the mouth. You can even swallow a couple of times just to make sure that everything's nice and loose. If you are suffering with a lot of jaw tension and this is painful for you at the moment, for anyone, you can do some light tapping over it first, just to encourage a little bit of blood flow. If you're happy with the circles, you can start to experiment a little bit with pressure. Remember, if you're applying more pressure, you need to really take the speed down, down, down. We'll come back to work on these muscles when we do the intraoral work. And then if you'd like to do a little walking man over them. Keeping it nice and slow, and you can really apply a little bit of pressure here. And it's as if you're like really trying to stretch out, like imagining that you had a piece of Play-Doh that you were like pulling across the table, like you're trying to stretch out the muscle fibers. So rather than just pushing into the face, you're also like pulling so that you're stretching, if that makes sense. Keeping that space between the top and bottom jaw. Wonderful. Okay, coming back to those buccal muscles, the muscles that sit around the mouth. Using your thumb and third finger, you're going to pinch next to the mouth. So you're not pinching the cheek, you're pinching next to the mouth. Just going to check everyone's in the right place. Yes, very good, everyone. And we're going to work across the mouth and back. So I'll demonstrate. And then you're at the other side, and then you go back and back and back, and we'll repeat that a few times. So go slow here. You can use a deep pressure as well. Just keep it nice and slow. You can focus. I'm just gonna talk, but you guys keep going. So you can focus around these lines. This is great along the lips for any of the skin that's starting to show any signs of aging, or if you've been kind of tensing the jaw, all of the buccal muscles will be tensing together. So this is great just to work tension out of those muscles. Really good as well to work the muscles that go around the mouth that are like literally always ignored, but are muscles, like all muscles. If you find any little sweet spots, like I like working like that corners in these big muscles that sit here. If you find any little sweet spots and you want to spend a little bit more time there, definitely do. And even when you're doing this, keep a little bit of space between the top and bottom jaw, keep your tongue loose in the mouth. Remember to keep breathing. Lots of things to remember. Wonderful. Well done, everyone. Okay, next we're gonna keep moving slightly up the face. So we're gonna come here to work across this muscle, the zygomaticus, that sits diagonally across the cheek. So it runs kind of from the middle of the nasolabial line up towards the temple. We're gonna do one side and then do the other side. So using that same sculptural face lifting move, you want to, so when I'm doing it, you can see the corner of my mouth is lifting, the top lip is lifting, and then my eye lifts as well. And you want to use as much surface area of your hand as possible. If you're finding this like completely unbearable because of the shape of your wrist, you can just work up this way instead. Really good. So running diagonally from the nasolabial line up over the temple, you can apply a little bit of pressure over that temple. Really good, everyone. Really nice. And just switching to the other side, using the same motion, running from the center of the nasolabial line diagonally across the cheek to the temple. Oh, bun's in the way. Taking it nice and slow, whether you're doing it with this technique or just stroking using your hands, they do the same thing. You're working on the same muscles. And remember that you want to be getting that lifting. You do want to see the top, the lips kind of being dragged, is when this muscle shortens, it does pull up the corners of the mouth. So that's kind of what we're working with. Well, that's exactly what we're working with, not kind of. Really good. And if you want to apply a little bit more pressure when you go over those temples, then you definitely can. Really nice. Okay, great. So next we're going to come to work just a little bit along the sinuses. And while we're here, we're going to do a little bit of acupressure for sinuses. So the first thing we're going to do is do some little lobster claws, pop them either side of the nose and drag out. And we'll just repeat this a couple of times. So working on the sinuses, working on this area is really great for clearing your sinuses, obviously, but also for helping with any puffiness in the face or particularly around the eyes, any dullness, dark circles. It just makes sure that everything is moving quite freely. Also working in this area over time due to lymphatic drainage can help with, if you're particularly prone to congestion, kind of around here, little blackheads on the nose, as it's just helping the body move. Toxins, metabolic waste, things that naturally occur away from the area. Here you don't have to use a hard pressure. Everything you're working on is just there. It's a bony area. And the skin is thinner than on this part of our face. Wonderful. Okay, a couple of acupressure points. We're going to do one side first and then the second side. I'm just using my first finger. So the first point is just next to the nose. You're not pushing in, you're hooking up. So that top lip will lift as well. Again. And we'll stay here for 5 breaths. It should be a bit uncomfortable. Really good, everyone. The next point is directly underneath the pupil and then up underneath the cheekbone. So directly underneath the pupil, up underneath the cheekbone. You'll notice that the corner of my mouth goes with it because you're going up. You're pushing up into the cheekbone, not in. And we'll stay here for a couple of breaths. Again, it's okay if these feel slightly uncomfortable. Wonderful. The next point is here where the eyebrow meets the nose and you're hooking your finger in and you're pulling up towards your brain, up towards the sky. And take a few breaths here. Again, it's okay if they feel slightly uncomfortable. Wonderful. And the final one, in line with the pupil, again, in the center of the eyebrow, and you're pushing in. Again, experiment with pressure. If you do have a lot of brow tension, this may be very painful for you. Just apply a light pressure. You can even, oh, I don't know if you can see that in the camera very well, but you can even pulse if you're finding it too much to just press and hold. Really good, everyone. Moving on to the second side. So the first point is next to the nose and you hook up and in. So your top lip comes up. And we'll stay here for 5 breaths, just like we did on the other side. Wonderful, really good. Great, releasing and moving on to the second point, directly underneath the pupil, pushing up underneath the cheekbone. Directly underneath the pupil, pushing up underneath the cheekbone. The pressure is up to the ceiling. Wonderful, and we'll stay here for a couple of breaths. Really good. The next point is here where the eyebrow meets the nose and you're pulling up. I find it easier to use the opposite hand to opposite side of the face, but see what feels good for you. Yeah, also you can use whatever like finger or thumb feels easiest for you to work with. With all of these moves, all that really matters is that the area is the right place. Really good. And releasing, and then the final one above the pupil on the eyebrow, pushing into the face. Really nice. With any of these, if it's too much, you can pulse. You can tap even. If you want something more gentle, or you can press and hold. Really good. Releasing, giving your brows a little stroke. And we're just going to do a little quickie eye sequence before really focusing on releasing tension from the brow. So starting, you may need a drop more oil. Starting with 4th fingers, we're just going to do some back and forward semicircles. Keeping the pressure super light, always working with a very light pressure around the eyes because the skin is thin and the bone is right there. There's no need to use a deep pressure. Really nice. Next time coming back to the center, we're going to do some little pump and holds all the way out. So I'll show you on my finger. So you never lose, on my finger, on my arm, you never lose contact with the skin. So you just press and hold and release, but you glide. You never lose contact with the skin. Working out towards the side of the face and then coming back and repeating. Keeping the pressure light even when you press them. There's no need to, using a deep pressure here won't be beneficial. Really nice, everyone. Next time coming back to the center, you're going to push up over those brows. Now, if you are suffering from tension in the brows and the forehead, just use a pressure that feels good for you. So you can use a harder pressure over the brows, coming back under the eyes with a light pressure. So we're doing some circles. Hard pressure over the brows, light pressure under the eyes. Wonderful. When you come up, you can really push up here, working on those sinus points again. Harder pressure over the brows, light back under the eyes. If you want to use some more fingers so you have a bit more strength, feel free. Wonderful. So just warming up these corrugator muscles, the muscles that sit underneath the eyebrows, before we come and do a little bit of deeper work into here. Just like with deep tissue massage, you need to kind of warm up the muscle first before doing anything harder into it. Really good. And just take time throughout all of this to notice what you find. Are you finding any little bits of tension that you weren't expecting to find? What feels nice? What feels awful? Really good. Final one. Next time coming back onto the brows, we're going to start to do a little bit of pinching. So using thumb and third finger and just feeling where these corrugator muscles are to start with. They're pretty big muscles. You can see where the top of it is popping out for me. So it's not just on the brows. They are actually quite big muscles. And we're just going to pinch and hold. Nice. And release and move 0.5 centimeter over and pinch and hold. You can guess where we're going. Move slightly over, pinch and hold. Nice. And we're going to do this across the whole corrugator muscle. Experiment with pressure. See what feels good for you. This is not a delicate muscle. Unless you are suffering from, a lot of pain and tension here, then of course be kind with yourself. Very nice. If at any point you need something less active, you can do some calming strokes across the brows. That's always a lovely option to take. And then if you feel comfortable, you can come back to doing a little bit more pinching, and you can alternate the two. Really nice. Okay. With fingertips coming to the center, you're just going to pull these muscles away from each other. Pull. So the pressure, the energy is this way, not this way. Yeah. Again, like you're stretching rubber, stretching Play-Doh apart from each other. So not too much inwards pressure, energy moving towards the side of the face. These muscles, the corrugators, are the ones that come in to give us these little frowny lines. Wonderful. Nice. Next time, coming back to the center, we're going to come back to this sculptural face lifting move, working up the nose and between the brows. Again, if it's too uncomfortable for you to put your wrists this way, no problem. You can just work stroking up. Really nice. And with either move, you can start to work along the brow and along the face. So you can either do this or this one. If you are with me doing the sculptural face lifting move, make sure you're using the full surface area and you're coming from underneath the brow to all the way up to the hairline. And to work on the other side, you'll need to swap hands. Even if you're doing this, to work on the other side. Oh no, you can still do it, never mind. I just think this feels so lovely. This is what I do before bed every night, one of the many things. So here you're really thinking again about stretching these muscles up. So the frontalis muscles, the two muscles that sit here, the ones that contract to give us these lines, you're stretching them. Wonderful. Sorry, I don't know how to turn that off. Really nice. After doing a little bit of work on the brow, you can also come to work just next to the side of the eyes. So either using sculptural face lifting move, or you can just work kind of like up. So it's a diagonal line that sits on the sides of the eyes. Like where people would say, I actually also hate this, but you know, when people say where the crow's feet are, I mean crow's feet, also not nice. The fine lines around the eyes. Wonderful. And just moving on to the second side if you're working on that. Really nice. Final move that we're just going to do on the forehead, putting your fingers just above the eyebrows, so just at the top of the corrugator muscle, you're going to apply a very subtle downwards pressure, very, very subtle. And with the other hand, you're going to stretch up. So they're working in opposing directions. So you do one side, and then on the other side, you have to swap your hands. So the opposite side to the opposite side of the face is on top. Wonderful. Just finishing here with a little bit of massage into the temples. Really good. How's everyone feeling? Good? Okay? All fine? Good. Great. So now is your opportunity. If you would like to go and wash your hands before putting them in your mouth, that is up to you. If you're not fast, I won't judge you. Okay. I'll just give it a second. Okay. Cool. So we're going to start on one side. We'll work one side completely, and then we'll go on to the other side. So we're just going to start by working these muscles here, and then we'll do a little bit more targeted work. So we're going to start by popping the thumb inside the mouth And then working, I'll explain first and then I'll demonstrate something I've learned. Popping the thumb inside the mouth. You want to pinch with both sides, and both sides, both the thumb and the outer hands are going to be, outer fingers are going to be moving. They're both going to be moving. They move simultaneously. So your thumb isn't static inside the mouth. So let me just demonstrate. And there are 3 areas that you want to work on. So think of them in semicircles. So like small semicircle, medium semicircle, big semicircle. When you do your big semicircle is when you will be hitting that masseter muscle. If you suffer from jaw tension, go easy, see how you feel. And if it feels okay, then you can apply some more pressure. All the while you're doing this, remember to breathe, remember not to clench your teeth, and be mindful of how your skin is actually feeling. So don't just be too focused on the muscle and forget about the delicate skin on top. Okay, I'll stop talking now. Give it a go. And don't forget to explore top and bottom jaw. Your mouth is probably a lot bigger than you think. The muscles that we're working on run from underneath the cheekbone all around this area of the face. So quite amazing, really. And remember, you're doing your small semicircle, your medium semicircle, and your big semicircle. Okay, once you feel comfortable with that, you can carry on working into the masseter, definitely, if you want to continue. Something else that I like to do here is come up onto the, I wish that you guys could see inside my mouth, come up onto the top jaw, go all the way to the back and pull forward. So you're working like along this kind of bit. And then coming down to the bottom jaw, you can do the same. So pulling from the back all the way along to the front. Really nice. Okay, next we're going to work all along the top lip. So still with the thumb, popping it in. And using fingertips to just work along this bit. So it's like if you imagine your mouth is a circle, which it is, it's just a quarter of the circle that runs here. Really nice. And then moving around slightly to the bottom part of this kind of half circle. Okay, cool. How is that feeling for everyone? Weird? Good. Okay, Great, and just moving on to the second side, so popping thumb inside the cheek and remembering your small, medium and big semicircle is what we're going to do first. You guys keep going, keeping that space between the top and bottom jaw, making sure that your throat's relaxed, remembering to breathe. If you do find any like little juicy spots that you want to work into a bit deeper, then you can spend a bit more time there, particularly on this big muscle at the back. Wonderful. And then you can keep doing that, or you can work along the top jaw and along the bottom jaw as well. So going all the way to the back and pulling forwards, going all the way to the back at the bottom and pulling forwards like we did on the other side. Amazing. And then working on this little part of the circle here. Great. And moving on to the bottom. Really good. How's everyone feeling? Good? Good. Okay. So just to finish up after that, we're just going to do a couple of soothing strokes. You might need a little bit more oil as it may have been worked into the skin a bit. Just soothing strokes, effleurage, light, not really trying to achieve anything. Just giving those muscles a little bit of love. Really nice. And then we're just going to come to finish on the neck. So using palms, fingers, just working down one side and down the other side. Wonderful. Great. And then to finish up, we're just going to do a little bit of tapping across the chest, taking some big sighs. Tap, 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 tap. Giving those hands a shake. Rolling your shoulders, rolling your neck. And you're all done. Really well done, everyone. How are you all feeling? All good? Yeah. Does anyone have any questions at all? Oh, good. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. So this is definitely a more stimulating practice. You can do a little bit every day. The only thing that you need to be mindful of is your skin, because the focus is really on the muscles. The focus isn't so much on the skin, and you're never going to hurt your massive muscles. Like they'll be completely fine. But just, you know, if your skin is quite sensitive to friction, that's kind of the only thing that would hold you back. So just make sure that you always have lots of like lube, lots of slip, so that you're not causing too much friction and inflammation on the skin. But yeah, you can practice this daily, probably not the whole hour, but you know, if you really suffer from jaw tension or brow tension, you can focus on what you want to do every day. Just start and finish with the neck, and then you can crack on with whatever you're doing. This recording will be saved on Skin Society. Skin Society is our members platform where you have access to all of our workshops, all of our tutorials. Everything is there. We do 2 of these a month, so you can check them all out there if you enjoyed it. But thank you all so much for joining me, and I hope to see you again soon. Have a great weekend, guys. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.